gold for the NBA, but he's the undisputed MVP of real estate, running point for one of the most unstoppable teams in the business. A master of assists. He's got the vision, the hustle, and the winning strategy. Give it up for Rob
Welcome back to the FullCourt Press podcast. I'm your host, Rob Ellerman, and today we've got two phenomenal guests. The first guest is going to be the very famous man, myth, legend, Lance Tomlin. Lance Tomlin has a group who has just come over to the Rob Ellerman team, and last year they did $29 million in volume. So he's got some great tips, some tricks, talks to you about what he does every day, some time blocking stuff. There's going to be a lot of good information there, and even a great book that he recommends that you read. So we look forward to chatting with him. And then second, I have a basketball guy, which you guys know is one of my favorite things to do, is bring some basketball guys on here. And it's Josh Akognon, and he is an NBA guy, played overseas for a lot of years. But the most interesting thing about him was he picked up a basketball at 14 years old. So you hear all of this stuff about AAU basketball and playing when you're in second grade and traveling the country. And this guy picked up a basketball at 14 and made it all the way to the NBA. So really cool stories about overseas NBA. We pick his brain on some of that stuff, and he's got some great business ventures. And still friends with Mark Cuban with the Dallas Mavericks. So a very interesting episode today with both of these guys. So we look forward to bringing that to you here right now. First of all, I want to thank AA Window Clean for sponsoring this segment today. We appreciate your support on the FullCourt Press. Welcome back, everyone. I am very excited to introduce my next guest. Sitting with me here today is Mr. Lance Tomlin of the Tomlin team. And Lance and I have known each other for 12, 14 years, something like that. Quite a while. So Lance is a real estate, the man, the myth, the legend, and runs a great group. And I've only been recruiting him for probably 12 to 14 years, something in that range.
2013.
Yeah. Okay. So long time. I'm not very good at closing the deal. It took me a while, but Lance's team did about $28 million last year. They're consistently one of the top producing teams in Kansas City. So I'm very excited to have you here with us. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Happy to be here. Love the opportunity to share a little bit about us and our team.
I love it. So let's just dive right in. Let's talk Lance Tomlin. Let's talk day to day. Give us what you do on a daily basis.
Well, I mean, real estate, right?
Right.
So when it comes down to the fundamentals, it's showing up for the client every day. It's working hard for the client every day. Also working as a team. We love what we do and who we do it for.
Yeah. So are you a get up in the morning, get showered, get dressed up, come into the office, start making phone calls? What's your routine? Do you look at the leads and say, hey, I've got to make the follow-up calls? Do you come in and say, hey, I've got to take care of, the clients that I have right now and what's going on first, and then I look at prospecting later? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we're a big fan of time blocking. It's important to have intentionality throughout the day, whether that's from, putting your list together the night before, including, hey, what am I going to wear tomorrow? If I can help eliminate some of the decisions that I have to make the next day, it's just it's a plus for the next day going forward.
Yeah, that's great.
So yeah, get up, going in the morning, have personal time, whether that's time in the word, prayer, meditation, working out. Sometimes it's just relaxing and, drinking a cup of coffee. Sometimes it's more active, but yeah, that's routine is a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. But you're like me though. Like, and this isn't a knock on virtual companies by any means, but a lot of real estate companies getting away from the brick and mortar. I'm still a big fan of, I need to feed off people. I need to, be in an office. I need to have office meetings. I need to do all that. Is that similar?
100. Yeah. We definitely believe in showing up to the office every day and making sure that that's what we do when we're there is work. moving clients forward, whether it's, hey, we need to get them in for a consultation, whether it's moving through the offer process or the pre-listing process, or whether it's we're under contract. So every day we're moving clients forward through their through their journey.
Yeah.
When it comes to, selling or buying real estate.
Yeah. And you move a lot of people through that journey.
That's the goal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. You have a nice team though, right? You want to give a shout out to some of your team members as well?
100%. I would not be where we're at without Holly Albertson, Lori Joslin, and Patrick McDaniel. So we're a small but fierce team.
Yeah.
And we believe in being optimized to the fullest extent that we can every day. So we're working on that to better serve our clients. Everything revolves around that.
Right. And what a year they've started out having. I mean, it seems like every other day it's like big contracts coming in, and not just big contracts, just contracts in general, right? I mean, they're just absolutely starting 2025 off with a bang.
Yeah, I think we've maybe 13 have pended now since we joined the team.
Oh, good.
So maybe 12. I don't want to
don't quote you on that.
Yeah, I don't want to over exaggerate. So
we better get that 13th one down. I'm counting on that now.
So, right.
No, it's been great to watch you guys, and you handled the transition so well. We talk about on the Rob Ellerman team, we talk about everybody can be successful that is successful without us, right? Like you are a very successful team. We don't try to say, hey, you can't be successful unless you're on our team and under our umbrella. But what we do like to do is try to make you, maybe more successful faster, or have a better work-life balance with some of the things that we offer and things like that. So maybe, I know I'm going off script here a little bit, but talk to us a little bit about like when I was recruiting you, like what was going through your head, what made you kind of say, hey, maybe this is the decision that, we need to make.
Well, I mean, I've only known one other brokerage for 14 years, and being a deeply loyal person, it's hard. There's a lot to consider, and there's a lot of relationships I still value to this day. So that's a big part of the consideration, right?
For sure.
And even though those relationships are still there, they're just not the same. Right. When you leave one place and go to another. And so coming over here was about growth. It was about new opportunities. It was about thinking through retirement and investment opportunities that were presented. And so we're excited. We're excited to grow. We're excited to plant ourselves here, attract some new talent, and be able to help train them with the support of the Rob Ellerman team, marketing team, with the support of what you guys have established over the last 27 years, and be able to use that to our benefit and the people that we bring on the team.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. Hey, can we clip that and just put that right on right on the podcast clip right there? It is.
Absolutely.
No, that's great.
That's part of the decision.
Yeah. Yeah. And our staff loves you guys. You guys handle the transition amazing. And there's always a few little bumps and things that go along. And you guys, obviously just, we're super nice about some of the things that we were trying to work on in the background and stuff. So that's great. Well, let's dive into your business a little bit. So real estate's changing, right? And, there's this new AI stuff that's out there. Are you, have you really delved into that too much? Or, not a lot have, but do you use some of it?
Yeah. I do have the monthly subscription to ChatGPT. I do, dip my toes in the water a little bit. We use it for writing listing descriptions, but you have to be careful. You have to kind of think of it like a marketing director. It's really good at getting you from 0 to 80%. Right. But you've got to put the finishing touches on it. And it's just like anything, you would have somebody write something for you. You want to proofread it, because AI is still AI.
Right.
And as good as it is, it still needs to be proofread before you put your final okay stamp on it and say, hey, let's put this out to the public.
Yeah. Yeah. And usually when I use it, people are like, that's not you saying that. Right? So I've got to be better at my prompts and, hey, talk like Rob Ellerman or something.
Yeah. So the prompts are huge. If you don't set up your custom prompts, then it's not going to sound like you. And consumers today know that.
Yeah.
When they read your website or your socials and it sounds one way, and then they meet you in person and you're completely different, they pick up on it instantaneously.
Yeah.
And they kind of feel like it's maybe a little bait and switch. So that's kind of maybe the negative side of AI is I'm just going to let AI do everything for us. And then when they meet you in person, you're like, and so even the younger consumers, especially, they depend on, I mean, you're maybe not the physical storefront, but your digital storefront, your website, your socials is how they're getting to know you.
Yeah.
So if you allow AI to do all that for you and then they meet you, like, this is like, I feel like I've been, bait and switched here.
Yeah. Duped a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. On that description, or you see the same description on like several different houses. You're like, okay, that's a little, yeah. Well, I think the guest before me, before you, I'm sorry. I asked him, like, give me a little profile, on you and your basketball career and stuff. And he's like, well, let me chat GPT myself. And I'm like, that's perfect. Just send it over. So that's awesome. So give me the, your 11-second elevator speech or 30-second elevator speech. Like,
man, I've never been good at those, but I'll do my best.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to do that. That's putting you on the spot there. But like, someone wants to list their house and they're like, hey, I know 3 or 4 different real estate agents, which everybody seems to do, right? What would be the Tomlin team? What would be your selling points for your team?
We're hard workers, first of all. And I know that's easy. Everyone's like, well, I'm going to work harder than anybody else. But we point potential clients to our past clients. Hey, check out our reviews.
Right.
See what other people who have recently worked with us say about us. And so I feel like no matter how good my elevator pitch is, it's never as good as what someone else can say about me or our team.
I love it.
And so we love pointing them out to recent reviews, not, hey, check out my reviews. And they're all like 14 months old. And real estate, right? We say who you work with matters. And so part of the selling point of working with us is clear communication. That's a big deal. Proactive in our communication. We are aiming to inform the client of what's next instead of waiting for them to call us and ask what's next.
Right.
Hey, what should I expect next? So we are trying through our CRM, Follow Up Boss, which we love. We have some action plans and smart lists that are set up to help us stay on top of that communication with the client because it's hugely important.
It's very important.
If that's even a phrase.
Yeah. Hugely
important.
That's going to be a phrase now. So no, that's all good stuff. And I've never heard anybody say anything. I've never heard a bad review. I've never heard, honestly, a co-op agent say anything bad. Everybody's like, oh, I love working with those guys. When, we were talking about, bringing you guys in, I mean, it was all positive. So, cause I like to same way. I don't want to ruin culture. Right. So, for me, it was, does everybody love Lance and does everybody love his team? And they all did. So,
yeah. We are huge about cooperation. You can't be in real estate and not cooperate. I mean, you'll have a short career or a small career,
right?
I guess. So, but yeah, it's hugely important.
So you just kind of mentioned working with your team in general. Is there any difference in like if I'm a buyer and I want to work with your team, is there anything different there that you might say, hey, here's why, we can find you a house better than, maybe some others out there?
Well, Patrick, who's our buyer specialist, has predominantly worked with buyers the last year to 16 months now. And, he came full time on our team in March of last year and closed over 20 transactions just in 9 months as a brand new agent.
Crushing it.
He is. He's doing crazy awesome. And so he's doubled down, he's doubled down. Yeah. And so it's been great to see his hard work paying off. So when you ask, well, what is it like from a buyer perspective working with us, is I know how he prioritizes the client. I know how important that is to him. He's a very empathetic listener. He's not just listening to provide a response. He's building relationships from the very first phone call all the way through closing. It's all about building relationships. And that's something that we've tried to encourage him to do from day one.
Right.
Every phone call, every text, every email is an opportunity to build a tighter relationship with that person, because we don't want to do just one transaction. We want to be their realtor for life.
Right. Right.
So
And, when we were recruiting you over, we talked a little bit about also maybe giving you some more tools, right? Like,
yeah,
we really like the Connect app that we're on, and we've got 230 agents now that all are able to say, hey, we have this upcoming listing.
yeah,
Right. And
Yeah.
so, now I know, talking to Patrick a little bit about that, I think he was excited to know that, with his buyers, he's able to say, hey, I found a house that nobody else knows about yet except
Right.
for our team.
yes,
And so I think that's really good. And, there's a lot of companies out there fighting the clear cooperation rules
yeah,
now. So if that all comes down and we're able to actually take those listings kind of in-house,
right,
I mean, here at the, the company we have in Kansas City, we've got 3,000 agents. So we're going to have a lot of listings that, our buyers know about that others don't. So
Right. Yeah.
I think that's going to be a really interesting change to the community as well, the buyer community.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
very good stuff. Well, so what is the, fast forward, 3 to 5 years, what do you see for the Tomlin team? What do you see for your agents? What's in your mind for growth?
Growth is a funny word sometimes. It has different meanings for different folks. And I feel like for us, specifically the Tomlin team, optimize before we expand. I want to grow quick, but I also know the value of growing slower and organically.
For sure.
Bringing people into a hot mess just makes it a bigger hot mess. Right. So having systems and policies and procedures and lead generation, lead conversion, client servicing models in place really helps us set that new agent up for success. So maybe 8 to 10 agents, but all doing, north of 10 million a year would be fantastic. But also having a way or this is something I've had to think through, having a way or a model or a place for those agents that maybe only want to do 1 to 2 million or 3 million or less.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, here's what we do for agents that want to join the team that maybe don't want to go conquer the world.
Right. We've had a lot of discussions on that. How
A lot of debate. And so, I like the optimization before expansion only because, having an agent out there representing, my name or the Rob Ellerman team, we don't want to send them out there unprepared or unprofessional. It just makes everybody look bad, and they're going to remember that.
Right.
And
well, I over my career and how we've kind of built the Rob Ellerman team, I get a lot of agents saying, well, how did you do it? And I always talk about exactly what you said: slow, organic.
Yep.
You build a foundation, you make sure that that's a real, if you build a house and you mess up your foundation, bad deal,
Yeah.
right? So, you have a really good foundation, and then you can grow as big as you want to be because that foundation's so good, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know how many times I talk to agents and I'll say, grow slow, do this, and, and blah, blah. And then they go out and hire like the first 8, 10, 12 brand new agents. And I'm just like, this is not going to last. And you watch them. Well, I let a few people go. Yeah. I mean, it's just a constant turnover battle at that point. So, So I think you make a really good point that I just wanted to kind of emphasize.
Yeah.
That,
it's all about what they want. And that's the conversation. What is it you're looking for real estate to do for you?
Right.
Because the thing about real estate is it's limitless. It's one of the few professions out there that doesn't take 8 years or 12 years of commitment to really build a dream that whatever you can think of, real estate can probably do for you.
Right.
And that's pretty cool.
That is really cool.
Talk about America, talk about the American dream, talk about whatever you can think of. If you're willing to put in the time, effort, and energy to building a real estate business, it can provide that for you.
Right.
And change your family tree.
Right. But you have to be, you're 100% right. But you also have to put in that time and energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many people come in and be like,
skip that part.
I want to do what you do, or I want to do what Lance does, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, I haven't seen you in the office in 2 months and you haven't made a sale. Like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm working. Like, no, you're probably not. Right.
Well, and over the years, building a team is hard because you'll have good intentioned agents, great hearts, great people say, well, I'm making my calls, I'm sending the texts, I'm following up on my emails, I'm getting the Zillow leads or the whatever leads that we have that we're trying to generate. But at the end of the day, they're not going on appointments or closing deals. And those those metrics speak for themselves.
Right.
So you can do the wrong things a lot and still get no results.
Right.
And so having somebody that's willing to come in and be teachable and amiable and pliable and just do, instead of question everything and I have a better way, or cold calling is old and outdated, which it is. But it's also proven, right? You make enough calls and you're competent on the phone, you're going to get good results.
Right. Or we talk about open houses, right? People will say, well, I held an open last week and then this week and then, the week before, and I got 0 people. Well, what would next week bring?
Right.
Like, I mean, we've got somebody on the team that, did 12, 13 million first year in, and it was literally 2 opens on Saturday, 2 opens on Sunday, and she would get 0, 0, 0, 0, and then 3. Right. But so many people quit before, it gets there. So it's that consistency that I think agents do miss a lot of times.
And it only takes one really cool success story for them to become a believer.
Right.
I had an agent who really fought me on an open house up in, I can't think of the neighborhood, North Independence off Bunchu, newer neighborhood, Rock Creek or something. Anyway, we just took this listing. They were wanting to sell there and move out to the country. And we were struggling to find someone to do the open house, and she finally agreed to do it. And she walked in and a buyer wanted to buy, and literally that buyer, it was a multiple offer situation. She came in, she knew how to navigate that, and her client got the deal.
Yeah.
She had no problem doing open houses after that.
Right. It's like, oh wait, these do work. So, cause I don't know how many times I hear that, like, oh, they don't work. And I'm like, well, I mean, we've got some people on the team that, make their living off of open houses. And if somebody's walking into a resale open house, what do you think they're doing?
Oh, one of two things. They're really looking to buy, or they're just killing time on a Saturday.
Right.
Or they're, we call them nosy neighbors.
Right. Yeah. The neighbors can come in, but sometimes I hear like, well, people come and look at decor, and I'm like, people aren't out shopping resale houses for decor.
New construction.
Yeah. But for the most part, and I don't even know how many people kill time with opens. I guess there's probably a partial piece of the community that does that. But I know when I want to kill time, I'm not walking into somebody else's house and looking around at a maybe 15-year-old house or something.
Correct.
I don't know. Seems like they're going to be in the market at some time in the near future, at worst case scenario.
Yeah, they're thinking, right?
Yeah.
That's beginning the process.
Right.
It's that thought. So,
well, good stuff. So, so all the agents out here listening that might be like, hey, Lance is a pretty cool guy. Maybe I should talk to him about, joining his squad. And what would you say to those people?
We'd love to start the conversation. Let's have a conversation. One of the things that I pride myself on is having an objective conversation where we may determine you're not a good fit for our team, but maybe you're a good fit for the Rob Ellerman team or a different team.
Right.
Being able to have an objective conversation separates us. That's a separator, because most people want to skew the conversation to benefit only them.
Right.
And ultimately we would love to have a huge team and all of that great stuff, but it's got to be a right fit for both people. So for those listening that are thinking about, hey, I didn't hit my income goals this year or last year or the year before, I don't have systems or processes in place, that's a conversation that we'd love to have. Let's have the conversation. Let's grab a cup of coffee or a breakfast or a lunch and just collaborate as professionals, colleagues in the business, and see, we might be able to help them figure out a business plan that they can go off on their own and be successful. To me, that planting that seed is just as awesome as, hey, come join our team. We think we have the tools to help you be successful.
Yeah, I love it. And I think that is a separator, because I felt like we've done this over the years with our team is, if we really believe that we're not the right fit, or you're in a really good spot that, maybe you shouldn't go, we'll say that.
Yep.
Right. Because, if you try to get somebody over and you're putting a, what do they always say? A round peg in a square hole around. Yeah. So basically that's not going to work over time. No. Right. So I love that. I love that piece, because I've definitely sat down with people and said, you know what, like, you're in a really good spot. Don't leave.
Yeah.
But if we think we can help, we'll also say, unbiasedly, like, hey, I think we can help you grow if that's what you want. Or sometimes people come over and they don't even want to grow. They just want a better work-life balance. They need the systems and the marketing team and, all of that stuff.
Yep. Well, and having that conversation with them, I almost always introduce a book that I kind of hold near and dear to my heart.
Sure.
It's written by Og Mandino, and it's called The Greatest Salesman in the World. And in that book, he discusses 10 ancient scrolls for success. And so I'm not going to go through each one of those here on the podcast, but I actually have, I don't know if we can put that up on the screen or not, but I actually have a picture right outside well, not a picture. I have it right outside my office. I have all 10 scrolls on a big, like 24 by 24 wood plank. They're kind of engraved in, actually Lori's, one of Lori Joslin's friends. Shout out to Lori. Thank you. Had that made for me. I love it. It's awesome. And then I have a basket with 10 copies of the book, and then a little 8.5 by 11 paper above it says, hey, there's a copy of the book in the basket. If you feel like you'll read it, take one, read it. And if it's a benefit to you, pass it along to somebody else, because I believe the scrolls in that book are what, I mean, you can apply those anything in life and be better off. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to share that, and hopefully people listening to this will go out and maybe buy a copy, or, hey, swing by the Blue Springs Reese Nichols office and I'll give you a free one.
Yeah.
It's on me.
Did you bring one today? So
I didn't bring one today.
Mess her up. Man.
Well,
I don't think I've read that.
I was already on the road from an appointment and then coming here, and then, so
Got the call.
I was like, man,
Yeah.
I would love to have brought a book, but yeah, it's an easy read.
So we didn't plan the vests together. So that was a different,
And it's
for those
out.
not watching, just listening, we both got vests on with some plaid underneath, and looks like maybe we planned this, but we did not.
Yeah. So that book, The Greatest Salesman in the World, shout out to Og Mandino. There's actually a part 2 of that book too, so I would encourage, read both. They're easy reads, like less than 100 pages, small little book.
Oh.
You can fly through it. And
probably on Audible too.
100%. But on Audible, I have it on paperback as well.
Yeah, I love it.
So that was not my intention, but it's a huge part. The other thing is talking to new agents, is getting them to read. We have a list of books. Like, even when we brought Patrick on, one of the things we said is, hey, here's a list of 5 to 7 books we want you to read as quickly as you can, joining the team, just to help get their frame of mind right.
Right. I love it. Yeah, we've had some good book suggestions on here, so that'll be another good one that I'm gonna have to get off the poker at night, I think, and the online poker, and make sure
I'll bring you a copy.
Books, so
first copy that you read is on me,
or Audible. I need to get that going.
Yep. Okay. So you had mentioned a guest that you recently had on, being an NBA player or playing professionally. So I actually, believe it or not, I sold a former NBA player's home. His home was in Blue Springs. It was in September of 2016. And he played for the Cleveland Cavaliers from 74 to 84, and he was a guard. So I'm giving you some hints. This is kind of like, shout out to Sir and Petro and Stump the Chump, no copyright infringement. Right. So Cleveland Cavaliers, played as a guard from 74 to 84, and he recorded their very first triple-double as a Cleveland Cavalier that had ever been recorded. Who might that be?
So I'm going to really throw myself under the bus here because we actually talked about this and you don't remember. And you told me who it was, and I still can't remember who it was. So this is really bad. I'm like, oh my gosh, I could have just acted like I knew, and it would have been so great. And I would have looked brilliant with trivia, but I cannot remember the name because he's not a super well-known guy, right?
No.
Yeah.
He played, I think, actually, I don't know how many years he played. I know he played with the New Jersey Nets as well, but I know he played for Cleveland from 74 to 84.
All right. Gosh, I could have looked so good there, but
so I'm giving you all the hints of information I think I can give you.
Yeah. And when you told me the name, I didn't recognize it. So I guess it just went in one ear and out the other.
So his name is Clarence Walker, but he goes by Foots Walker. Yep. And he recorded the very first triple-double that Cleveland Cavaliers ever had as an organization.
And maybe the best nickname. How did I forget the nickname? I mean, I should have at least remembered Foots Walker, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
But anyway, it was kind of a, useless trivia, but it's fun to know that, hey, when he told me who he was, I kind of felt bad too, because I don't really know basketball players from the 70s and 80s. Right. Larry Bird, maybe. So Michael Jordan, obviously.
Right. Some of the main ones. Yeah.
Some of the main ones. But so it was kind of cool, and little piece of fun trivia.
Little fun trivia.
I got to experience as a real estate agent.
Well, I was definitely the chump. So you stumped the chump on that one for sure. So that's good stuff. Well, awesome, man. It was great having you. We're so excited that you're on the team.
Yeah.
Love every single member of your team. They've just been amazing. I know our staff has said nothing but good things. And so we're looking to help you grow. And I think we've got an appointment coming up here, right?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Oh, Friday.
Yeah, Friday. What is today? Wednesday? Yeah, it's Friday.
And we got 3. So 3 good, solid. In fact, I had another one just reach out to me literally 20 minutes ago.
Awesome.
I mean, hey, we're struggling. Can you help us? Would you talk to us? So I actually tried to schedule a lunch or coffee with them next Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
yeah, I mean, and that's what we're here for. That's the fun part of our job.
Right.
I love it when somebody comes in and maybe they are struggling a little bit or not hitting the goals that they want to hit, and then we can, help take them there. That's just so satisfying to see that. Right. So, yeah. So any other last minute nuggets that you want to throw out to maybe a new person? I mean, I think you really gave when you talked about the work ethic and what you put into it, I think that's the big one. But
just helping them discover their why is important.
Yeah.
Right. That's part of the conversation is, why are you doing this? Because I've had this conversation with people in the past. If you can go work 9 to 5 and meet all your financial needs and not have to work nights and weekends, you need to double think about having a career in real estate, because real estate's not 9 to 5.
Yeah.
It is nights and weekends. And especially when you get started.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to be available when the client is available.
Right.
Right.
It's more 5 to 9 than it is 9 to 5, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so I think helping them go through that conversation and discover why real estate, why is real estate the industry that you want to use to help reach your personal and professional goals.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
It's a great ending to the podcast. I love it. So thank you for being here.
Yep.
Thanks for being on the team.
Yeah, thanks. You can find us on online at thetomlinteamkc.com, or our Facebook page is facebook.com/KC Real Estate Experts.
And Taylor's amazing. She's got that up on the screen and everything. So
love it.
Perfect. Hey, thanks, brother. I appreciate
thanks,
you.
Rob. Yep. Thanks for having me on.
Yep. Good stuff. Well, first of all, I want to thank McGowan Mortgages today for being our segment sponsor. We appreciate you very much. Thank you for doing that for us. Welcome to FullCourt Press. I am super, super excited today. I've got another basketball guy on. So you're the second one. Jacob Gilliard beat you to the punch here on the basketball stuff, but that's all right.
That's my guy.
That's your guy. Yeah. So tell you a little bit about Josh. This is Josh Akognon. I got that name right.
Correct.
I practiced it for a while here. So Josh is an NBA guy. Josh, the really cool thing I think that is different is he started playing ball at 14. You see all these kids like traveling the country at like in second grade or something, and you didn't even pick up a ball till 14. So that's pretty cool. But Josh is a former NBA guy. He's an overseas guy. He's got a lot of stuff going outside of basketball. So I'm really excited to talk to him today. So everybody, welcome Josh.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, you're excited about this, huh?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. You didn't know that it was going to be big time podcast today.
I love it. It's my first one.
Yeah. So first of all, I mean, we've got to start with 14 years old, right? I mean, I've got a son and he's been playing ball since he was like 5 years old, right? So how did that happen? You just naturally had the talent to pick up a ball at 14 and make it to where you did?
Well, I would say I was always doing sports. Like we would do street football. I was into wrestling a lot. It was big with Stone Cold and The Rock. So we would fight around the neighborhood. That was like the big thing. But street football. And then we got into one of my best friends was playing basketball, and he invited me to a camp. And I went there, and I kind of was just watching, and I was seeing what they were doing. And I thought it was pretty easy. So I just kind of did it. And they kind of asked me if I've ever done it before. And I said no. And they invited me to another camp and kind of just took off from there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're not a fan of this AAU in second grade travel in the country, I would guess,
It
right?
is new to me. It is new to me.
Yeah. Well, even your son, Josiah, very, very good player,
Mhm.
8th grade right now, and he doesn't travel a whole bunch,
No.
right?
No.
So I mean,
Yeah, we give the team maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 tournaments every summer. That's significant travel. But for the most part, it's local.
right. So your take on that is stay home, develop, train,
Mhm.
versus going out and playing 3 games a day on a weekend.
Correct. If basketball is what you want to do, then your body's going to take a toll. And if you're going through all these different tournaments and games from 10 years old all the way up to 18, 19, when it starts to become more serious, you're going to start seeing injuries come up. And I try to just stay away from that. You don't know what's going to happen, but I try to control as much as that as I can.
Yeah. And so did you start thinking that way with your overseas career where you saw other, other players from, different countries saying, hey, we don't travel like that. We train and we play,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
practice 5 days a week and we play 1 day a week or
Yes. 100%. The first time I actually saw it was in China, where I saw it was kind of like a boot camp, like every day, 2-a-days. And it was some of the time there was no ball. They were just doing slides. They were doing different things for their body for strength. And then they got to the point where they would play a little bit of basketball here and there, but for the most part, it was just training. It was body work. No traveling, no tournaments, none of that. And I would just kind of look at them, and it had like different tiers, different levels of the different players, and I would see it and be like, wow. So
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So tell us about so let's go from 14. 14, you went to a camp, you started playing, you were obviously very athletic, quick, probably schooled everybody in the street football, right?
Yeah. Right,
Yeah. So it was either be Randy Moss or, go to the NBA, one
Yeah.
of the
One or
two. So what happened like through high school? Then you obviously, you started playing at 14, you got better and better. Ended up playing for the Oakland Soldiers,
Yep.
which was a really high level.
Yeah.
Uh,
Team out there.
Yeah.
So my first year, freshman year, I didn't even know the rules to the game. Like they had to tell me like that's a travel. Like you can't be in the paint here. You can't do this, can't do that.
wow.
So I played for the freshman team my freshman year. And then sophomore year, I was still kind of back and forth between JV and varsity. But that was because I was the protege of my coach, who was the varsity coach there the whole time. So he was always there for me. And so he just kind of pulled me up onto the bench for varsity minutes, even though I didn't play my sophomore year. And I probably averaged 3 points my first year, maybe 6, 7 points my second year. And then the turning point for me was when one of my brothers, Angelo Sagarakis, came from France. And he was already a pro over in France when he came. So when he came over my junior year, I saw the way he was playing, the way he approached the game. I had never seen someone score 20 points in a game. I didn't even know that was even possible. So that really changed the way I looked at the game. And then me and him started training together. We started going to the gym, watching film. And from that point on, it really changed the way I looked at the game. Averaged 17 that year with him. And then the last year, senior year, averaged 30.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the colleges started coming.
Yeah. So that's a good segue, right?
Yeah.
Take us into that. What happened? Was it your senior year before colleges really started looking at you, or did you get any looks your junior year? Did some of that come the junior summer? Did you play AAU?
Yeah. So Jeremy Rosati, who was he was the founder of Prolific Prep. He's been my trainer and coach for 20 plus years. So he took care of everything. So if I did get offers junior year, I didn't know about it.
Oh, gotcha.
So all he knew was train, work, and my parents trusted him to let him handle everything. And so the first time I actually started seeing coaches come into the gym was my senior year summer. And I started seeing different coaches come in. I didn't know who they were. And he had kind of just called me over and say, "Hey, Josh, introduce yourself." And I would say maybe 2-3 months after that, I was going on different recruiting trips, and he was right there with me with my dad. And so
Yeah. And he's still running that, right? I mean,
100%,
it's
100%.
going really good.
Yeah, they're number 1 in the country right now.
Yeah. I saw that. I saw that. Well, that's pretty interesting. So, I have a freshman, and we're talking. You and I talk about recruiting and all of that. So, I love hearing some of the stories that like you don't have to really worry about it until you get to be kind of junior, senior year, and that's when things
Right.
will really start happening.
Right.
So, all right, so you started getting recruited. You went to Cal State. Well, you've got a little story in between there, though, correct? Tell us about that.
So I signed with USC out of high school. I went on a recruiting trip and I loved it. And Henry Bibby, Mike Bibby's dad, was the coach, and I loved him. We went out to dinner, and I pretty much told him I wanted to come to USC. I want to say a couple weeks later, he got fired. And Rick Majerus was coming in. And I knew him from Utah and Andre Miller and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I still was like, I don't know about the guy. So I kind of...
He was a little animated.
I decommitted, and I said, all right, I'm going to open it back up. And at that point, I was looking at Michigan. Coach Ramsey was at Michigan. And I wasn't even looking at Washington State where I went. And Tony Bennett, who was the head coach for Virginia when they won the national championship, he came down to Petaluma, my house, and he walked in, and I just love everything about him. And I can't explain why, but he would show me pictures of him guarding Jordan or him guarding Shaq, because he played for the Hornets with Alonzo Mourning and Muggsy Bogues. So he kind of just gave me an idea that I'll be able to teach you how to be a pro at this size. Obviously, us being the same size. So I was just like, okay. I took my mom and dad into the back room, and I just told them, hey, I think I want to go there.
Right.
And they were like, do you want to wait? Do you want to look? And I said, no, I'm pretty sure. And so we walked back out, and I told them I'm a Cougar. I didn't know where Washington State was. That's nothing. They were like, Pullman. I still had no clue where it was, but I said, I love this guy. So signed to go there. And obviously I wanted to stay on the West Coast and stay in the Pac-10. So I went there for 2 years, really slow program. I think we averaged 40, 50 points a game. And coming from where I came from, that was tough. But Coach Bennett I was probably the only player that Coach Bennett actually gave the green light to shoot like quick shots.
Right.
But
you averaged 30 in high school.
Yeah,
exactly. And now you're going 40 or 50 for a whole team.
100%. So people were looking at me like, why'd I go there? And so I thought it was going to change maybe because I was there. And that was my first dose of reality. Right. Like, hey, I'm not as big as I think I am. And so I averaged 10 points a game, and I led them in scoring. And I thought that was a wild stat. So I asked him the summer going into junior year, I said, are you going to speed it up? And he said, right now with this level, with our team, I think this is where we're going to be at. And so I said, okay, I think I have to go. And we had a good breakup. There wasn't nothing crazy about it. Big hug, told everybody bye. I loved them. And I opened my recruitment back up, and I decided that I was either going to go to Miami to play with a guy named Jack McClinton, or St. Mary's wanted me to come play with Patty Mills. And so I was making a decision between those two, and I wanted to go to the ACC. I didn't want to leave the Pac-10 and go to a lesser conference. And then one of my close friends, Hassan Adams, who was at Arizona, he told me that a school in LA called Cal State Fullerton has a guy there named Bobby Brown, and he's on draft boards. He's on everything, even though it's a smaller school, and the coaches let him go. And he says, don't look at the school. Don't look at anything like that. Just go. Trust me, it'll change your career. I said, all right, I'm going to go take a visit. And just like Washington State, I loved everything about it. Love everything about them, the team. And again, I decided to go there. No clue, just a leap of faith. And that turned out to be.
And that was your home state, right?
Home state,
Yeah.
6 hours away drive.
Okay.
So family could come out, and back in California. So I was like, okay. And I went out there and was able to have a lot of success there, enough that they hung my jersey in the rafters, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah. So it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, it did. It did. So that's the whole college story.
So then after college, you thought, based on the projections, you'd go mid-second round in the NBA draft.
Yep.
But then you told me tough night, right? So walk us through that.
So I signed with Bill Duffy, agent out of college, and he had Steve Nash at the time, Carmelo Anthony. So his relationship with a lot of the different teams, I thought I was a shoo-in. Even if I didn't think I was that good, I thought because of his relationships, I was going to get there. And I worked out for the Kings multiple times, and I worked out for the Spurs. And I thought I had good conversations with Popovich. And I think they believe, don't quote me on the pick they had, but it was middle second round. I wasn't sure if I was going to go early or not, but I was pretty sure I was going to go then. So I knew not to have all my family at the house. I was confident, but I knew enough not to do that. That would be embarrassing. So I just had my wife, my girlfriend at the time, had my wife there, my brother, my sister, my mom and dad. And I was upstairs in the room watching it. And when it started getting closer to it, heart started beating. And then when the middle of the second round went and I didn't get my name picked, it was like a jolt.
Yeah.
And it hurt. It hurt. And it took me a good week to get over that. Somewhat the embarrassment of not getting called. And so I decided I didn't want to go to the summer league. I don't know why. It was maybe immature, but I was just like, I just want to disappear. So I was just like,
so it hit you hard.
Yeah, it hit me really hard. And so the first offer came overseas, Estonia, Talent Estonia, the VTB league. So I decided to go there for my first year and just get my first taste of professional basketball. And went from there. Yeah.
So did some of those teams ask you to come to summer leagues? And I mean, were they reaching out to you saying, hey, I mean, did the Spurs reach out and say, hey, we didn't take you, but we want you to be a part of the program? Or
the team that was on me was the Lakers and the Raptors.
Okay.
And at the time I was getting ready to think about going to the Raptors, but they had a guy named Marcus Banks. And they had just signed him to I think $24 million deal. And he was just getting there to, like, I guess, get some work with the guys. So it was just like, hey, you just want to come and play. And I knew if I went there, I wouldn't be able to play behind him because he was their guy. He had already signed. He was just using it for practice.
Yeah.
So I decided not to go. And by the time I went back to the Lakers, they already picked somebody else up.
Gotcha. So. And that's a big thing with the NBA, right? That people don't understand. There's such a business behind it.
Right.
If somebody's in front of you making $24 million and you're killing him in practice, it doesn't matter, does it?
I got stories for that one.
Yeah. I want to, well, man, are you reading what I've got over here? Like the segue right into it. So give us some of those stories. Like, when did you kind of join an NBA team? And then what scenarios kind of happened with that team that you're like, hey, I should be playing and I'm not, that made you kind of say maybe overseas is the way to go?
So after I left Estonia, I came back home and I was getting ready to go into the summer league type of stuff and go into the NBA, different workouts and camps. And I got an offer from somebody, do I want to go to China? And I was like, no way, I'm not going. Like, I'm not going to China. Where it's like, and so they were like, Stephon Marbury just signed there. And so my ears kind of perked up and I said, all right, well, tell me more. So they were like, yeah, he's playing there, this and that. And I was still kind of iffy about it. And then they said they're paying $25,000 a month. And I said, I'll take it.
I'll take it. I'm in.
I said, there was no idea. I was like, of course, I'll take it. So,
and Marbury figured that out quick, didn't we? Yeah.
And at that time he was getting a couple $100,000 a month, and overseas is tax free. So they pay your taxes. So, when I went to China, that was probably one of the most, it was like college in Fullerton. I had the most freedom I ever had. I was averaging 30 points a game. And my confidence took a huge leap. So after I played there, I came back and played for the Kings in Summer League with Jimmy Fredette and Thomas Robinson. So my confidence is on a high from China. So I come in there, I lead them in scoring. Mark Cuban and the Dallas Mavericks call us middle of Summer League and asked if I'd love to come to camp. And I said, of course, and I always thought that Dallas did a good thing by smaller guards with JJ Barea. Right. So I felt like I had a good chance to go in there and do something. So went to camp. I did really, really well. They had Delonte West under contract. So they told me they had to keep me as the last cut. But they said, and I already had deals in place with China. If I did not make the team, I could go right to China. So once I made the decision they made the decision for me to be the final cut, I decided to go back to China. And Donnie Nelson, GM at the time, told me, if you wait right when you come back, we're going to give you a deal. Like, you can finish the season with us. And I thought, he's BS and it's blowing smoke. And right when I got back from China, I was working out in Rohnert Park near my hometown and got the call and said, hey, can you meet us in Denver? We're playing the Nuggets and we're going to sign you for the rest of the year. And I was like, okay.
All right.
So they sent a limo, flew to Denver. And I was there before them. So I was just in the hotel waiting around for a day. Finally got there, played, and and the rest was history.
Yeah, yeah. So you played for Dallas for how long at that point? The rest of
So
that
I played
season?
for the rest of the season in Dallas for the last month and a half of the season. Two 10-day contracts pretty much topped together. And then they signed me to a 3-year non-guaranteed deal just to kind of hold my rights for the summer. I was pretty sure it wasn't that serious, but I knew that I would have them for summer league. So went to summer league, let them in scoring as well, just like the previous year. And so they told me, hey, came back, we'll see you in camp when we were done. And I want to say I went to Topeka because my wife being from Kansas, went to Topeka. I was going to take a nap. And one of my close friends at the time, Mark Stein, was a lead reporter for ESPN. I see his message when I wake up and it says, you're a Grizzly. And so I was like, what? So I get up, I call my agent and I'm like, what's going on? He was like, well, Dallas didn't think that you were going to get picked up, but they cleared you so that they can clear space for Monte Ellis at that time.
Okay.
Clear more cap space. But when they put you on waivers, Memphis picked you up right away. And so I was like, okay. And they were like, at that time, it was Mike Conley, Nick Kalathis, and they were thinking I was going to be a good second, third string guard that can come in kind of like a microwave and score. So I went to Memphis, and I probably had one of the best shooting performances I've ever had. And I remember I was in church in Memphis, and I got a call from the GM, and I had thought we were getting ready to leave to go play the Bulls. So I had thought I was going to get the call that I made the team. And they told me, hey, out of respect to your agent, we're going to let you go now so that other teams and overseas or whatever have the opportunity to get you.
Yeah.
And that right then killed me.
Yeah.
And so basketball became strictly a job for me from then on out. I did not care about the teams I was going to. I completely lost all love for the game. And from there on out, I was just basically playing for contracts. And, a testament to myself and my skill that a lot of the teams were still signing me to bigger and bigger contracts, and they had no clue that I didn't care. I didn't care anymore.
Right.
And I apologized to a lot of different teams, and even my agent I apologized to, because I'm like, I was really unprofessional at that time. I didn't have any grit to kind of push through it. So I was kind of just kind of going through the motions. And so that led me over to playing in Spain and again, China for over 8 years. I played in Italy. I played in Lithuania. I played in Serbia. And one of my teammates over there was Sasha Pavlovic, who played with LeBron with the Cavs. And me and him would exchange stories. And I went to Spain and I played with Shane Larkin, who was also a guard with me in Dallas. And I also played with Roddy Beaubois, who was a guard with me in Dallas. So we're all on the same team in Dallas, playing on the same team in Spain. With Andre Bargnani, Chase Budinger, we're all on the same team in Spain. And we're all just sharing stories about the NBA and how we felt like they screwed us over and all this stuff. But yeah, and I just became a journeyman after that.
Right.
And
so was that situation, I mean, that's got to be really hard, right? But was that a situation where they just had somebody they'd signed ahead of you that they weren't going to let you get in there, basically?
No clue.
Yeah.
No clue. Because when they pick me off of waivers, I'm thinking that's what you want me.
Yeah.
And I now have to come in and prove my point and prove that I earn it.
Right.
I earned it. And I thought I did that.
Right.
So the call was devastating.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So so you mentioned like another 8 years of playing, right? Or whatever. So all that time you were just like, it's a job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But basketball still somewhat came easy to me. So I was still leading the teams in scoring everywhere I went because I still love to shoot.
Yeah.
I still love to score.
Yeah.
But as far as defense, as far as willingness to win, to go the extra mile, that was all in the backside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a ridiculously quick release.
Thanks.
Right. So that's what happens when you're 6 foot.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
And I was a lot smaller when I started. So
yeah,
I had to get it off quick.
Yeah. Well, my son Grady and Big Mike Thomas know how fast that release is, right?
Yeah.
So we'll get into that training piece in a little bit, but I did want to ask you.
Yeah.
So interesting, you weren't in Dallas a really long time,
No.
but you forged a pretty good relationship with Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
Like you and I were talking, and you guys still have a relationship. And so, what kind of have you have you gotten any little business nuggets or, some advice from him on, because you do a lot of stuff outside of
of
basketball
course.
as well.
And Mark is one of the most down to earth people that you'll meet. I mean, any text messages I send him, he's probably responded within an hour, 2 hours.
Yeah.
Ever since I left. And the fact that he painted in the baseline all the different players who played at least one game, like no one else does that.
Yeah.
Like I'm there for a month and now I'm there forever. It's like for situations like that, I think it's crazy and it's awesome. And any business ideas I have, I kind of run it by him and he'll say, I want to do this. I would do this. I would ask for that. And I would leave that alone. And that's huge coming from him. But I still have to take it with a grain of salt because he has so much money. And he doesn't need those investments. And I'm still trying to climb my way up.
Right.
So I hear what he's saying, but I also have to take it into account that he doesn't want for anything. And I'm still trying to make a life. So,
right. Yeah, you try to get somebody like that. Look, you're like, hey, this could make you $200,000 a year. And he's like, yeah, whatever.
Okay.
Well, that's interesting. So outside of basketball, I met you training, right? So Grady came to you and trained, and you're training Xander, and Lance had me come over with Grady, so that was a great introduction.
Yeah.
And so your love for basketball came back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me it came back.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
did.
So and then this Canali training thing you got going, I mean, it blew up the last year.
Yeah. So I've always trained my kids, and I've always been in the gym with them, and so a couple people asked me, can you train my kid? And I was just probably like, nah, I don't train. I don't do it. And then finally I was talking to my mom when I was in California, and she said, you have so much pain and, and successes. And he's like, only your kids are the only ones that can really benefit from that. And there's some things you can tell a kid that might change his future. And she kind of looked at me like, that's kind of selfish. Because I kind of like to be in the background, and I don't like to be like, if you see me in a game, I'm up in the top rafters, I got a hood on, you're not going to know I'm there, and I'm sneaking out the back door. And ever since I started this, I really see what she was saying.
Yeah.
I can't go to a game now without kids like on my lap say, hey, coach, I got it down. And I was just like, wow, this is what I was missing out on. And again, to your point, that brought the love of basketball even more back to me, so I can say, hey, I really want these kids to succeed. I want Grady, I want Mike to make it further than I did.
Right.
And these are things I did wrong. This is when I lost my love. If a coach does this to you, find a way to tough it out and figure it out. So
yeah. Well, Grady's a big fan. So, we've already been talking about after season, what we're going to do. So just be ready for that call for sure.
I love it.
Well, so the outside investments that you mentioned, you've got a lot of things going on, and you and I have met on a couple of investment things, which is really cool.
Yep.
But some of the viewers out there, what are you working on?
So I have ownership in a sports agency that's called the Fam Sports. And we represent 23% of the WNBA. And my partner, Marcus Crenshaw, has been killing it. He was the first person that sold the company to Overtime. And he sold it to Jeff Bezos and Kevin Durant. It was Overtime for women. And we represent coaches in college. We have a baseball academy in Dominican Republic, and we've placed guys with the Royals, with the Tigers. Don't ask me the names. But we've placed people everywhere. And so that thing's blowing up, being the number one agency in the WNBA, and women's sports obviously blowing up.
Right.
So that is my biggest investment to date. Very proud with that one.
Well, that was going to be good. In the next couple of years, collective bargaining.
Oh man, it's gonna blow.
Yeah.
Some of the money these girls are making now it's insane. And we got maybe 5 or 6 girls that are in the Unrivaled League. And they're making a lot of money there. So it's awesome.
Yeah. It's overdue, right?
Yeah, definitely. I invested in a restaurant in Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills called The Hideaway. Right there, nestled between Gucci and Louis Vuitton.
Oh.
So it was right before I left to go to the Olympics. I played for Nigeria in the Olympics in Rio. And right before I left, they had asked me to come and listen to the pitch. And my best friend, his cousin is the one that was kind of orchestrating the whole deal. And so I came in, and even though I didn't know much about restaurants, I said this would be cool for the portfolio.
Yeah. Right.
To go shopping and then go to your restaurant. So that one is awesome, super cool restaurant. That's obviously a good one. And then I have my Canali training which is my personal training company. And then I have a 14,000 square foot church in Topeka, Kansas, and we turned that into a basketball training facility. So we have upstairs, we have a basketball gym, and we have downstairs, we have weight room. And High School University actually donated over 30,000 worth of equipment to us.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it's state of the art downstairs. Everything's awesome. It's growing by the day. We have awesome trainers in there. I'm not there as much, but I'm going to try to make it up there more. Again, that one is called 785 Athletics. And that one's doing well. Me and my dad have over 200 acres in Africa. And we do farmland and apartment complexes. And that one's great. You know, it's Africa. So I let my dad handle all that. And so he's also been great and with me and my investments. I'm trying to think.
You can't.
And I have a construction company called S&J Blueprints. Me and my partner, Ray Smith, we do a lot of different construction, high-end real estate. We do commercial, personal property, residential property. And he is the genius behind that.
Yeah. And that's mostly remodel, right?
Remodel, correct. But he does it all.
Yeah. See how we tied in the real estate and the basketball? That's what FullCourt Press is all about. Right. Well, and you have another thing coming, but I don't know that we can talk too much about that yet.
Yeah.
Right?
It's going to be, I think, the top recruiting tool for coaches and players. So
yeah. So kind of based around the NIL stuff.
Exactly.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yes.
I signed a non-disclosure, so I can't say anything. I can't say anything on air about that. But well, hey, we appreciate you being here. I do have some rapid fire questions for you.
Lay it on me.
At the end here, and we're gonna, again, this nice little segue into the NIL.
Yeah.
So first of all, I want to know with the NIL, will it change the way that it's done? Right? Like, NIL has their rules now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's just going to be the rule? I mean, it's kind of wide open, right? Do you think they're going to eventually try to walk it back, or can they?
It's definitely changing, and it's definitely. I'm a little bit upset about it because I didn't get to partake of it when I was in college. But the way these kids have it now, I don't want it to walk back. I want the kids to be able to make their money based off of how much money the universities have been making and NCAA has been making over the years. So I want them to be able to make all the money they can, but it is getting outrageous. Like, again, my mentor, Jeremy Rosati, who is at Prolific Prep, some of the numbers he tells me these kids are making junior, senior year in high school is ridiculous.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
I know.
So
I know.
I can't even think it.
So you think they'll try to maybe tweak it a little? Is the answer there? Or do you think, I mean, I don't know how they walk it back.
It's my friend put it to me this way, and it was great. It is no longer college sports. It is now professional sports. Do not call them collegiate athletes. They're not. They're professional athletes now. And so if you look at it that way, and you don't look at it like we did when I was struggling to eat a pizza.
Right.
And if you look at it that way, then I don't think they're going to walk it back. There may be a little bit more like structure around it, but I don't know. It is a mess.
Yeah.
And
it's trickling down into high school, like you mentioned.
Yes,
that's what's,
this is. People are getting paid.
Yeah.
In high school.
Yeah. So if Grady's listening, train with Josh nonstop. Yeah. Nonstop. Okay. So
Part of it.
To piggyback on that with the NIL, what do you think 5 years from now college basketball looks like? Are you seeing the same? I guess what I'm asking here is, you've got the blue bloods, you've got the Dukes and the Kentuckys and the Kansas and all of them.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's starting to change a little bit with some of these. I mean, BYU's got a ton of money to spend.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you saw what happened last night, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I did.
Kansas got beat.
Yeah.
Badly.
I saw it.
But anyway, so what do you think it looks like? Does it change the entire landscape of college basketball?
Yes, I think it does, because now everything's an open playing field. When I was coming up, you had North Carolina, you had Duke, you had Kansas, you had Kentucky, right? You had those schools, and they got all the 5 stars.
Yeah,
and they were always just the best. Now you got guys going to BYU, number one. You got USC in there, obviously, but you have kids are going everywhere, and so now it's completely leveled the playing field, which I think is awesome. I think it's great. And so in that regard, I think NIL has helped.
Right.
So now kids are now worried about themselves, and you no longer have stacks of 5 stars on Duke's bench,
Right.
just waiting for their turn.
Right.
Now they're leaving and they're going to another school and getting a better opportunity. So NIL has leveled the playing field.
Yeah. And maybe the transfer portal actually fixes some of that. Maybe you can transfer one time,
Yep.
or 2 times in your 4 years or
Yeah.
something to where people aren't just going after the bag
Exactly.
every single year,
Exactly.
maybe.
It's tough. I've talked to many of my friends that are coaches, and they're saying they feel helpless because they're saying if the player plays bad, he's leaving. If he plays good, he's leaving. So he said he's basically coaching people on 1-year deals.
Right.
As when we were coming up, it was kind of like a situation like, I'm going to develop you. And if you're good enough to go to the NBA, it will be a conversation.
Right.
But now it's like, no, like we can't do that. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting.
It is.
For sure.
It is.
So, okay, well, let's get off the NIL now.
Right,
That's too much. But so the toughest defender that ever guarded you. And that can be college,
Okay.
overseas,
Can I do 2?
NBA. Sure.
Drew Holiday, Avery Bradley.
Okay.
So Drew Holiday is the type of guy that he beats you to the spot, but he's also very physical, and he's also very quick, and he's also very smart.
Mm.
Now, I take pride in offense, so you're not going to just shut me down.
Right.
Nobody's going to do that.
Yeah.
But I'll be able to see what you're doing, and I'll be able to react to it and kind of make my next move the best move. And with him, it's like a constant game of chess.
Yeah.
You have to either go full speed into to danger, or you have to play with fire back there on an island. So he was tough, and then Avery Bradley was just really quick, and he was like long and lanky, and it was just like a situation where you just knew like you had to always be on guard.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel comfortable, and it made me just go one speed. So those are the 2 guys that I would say gave me the most
of it.
Yeah.
I think Jacob Gilliard was on last episode, and he said Holiday as well.
Yeah.
That was number 1 for
He's
him. So yeah,
Yeah.
and that's 2 really quick guards that he's guarding, and he's pretty good size too, right? I mean, he's not.
Yeah, 6'3", 6'4", strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So being that quick and strong at that size, no wonder he's making.
Exactly. And he's a great guy.
Yeah.
I had a workout in Sacramento, and I came down to the lobby, and when you're doing the pre-draft workouts, everybody's going for a job. So you think everybody's like, the mean mugs while you're across the table and you're kind of looking.
Right.
So he was eating breakfast, Drew Holiday was, and I came and sat down. I didn't say anything to him. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you're my enemy. Like, we're going here. He picked his food up, brought it to my table, introduced himself, and started talking. And he was just like, hey, I'm Drew, I'm this and this. And he was just like, what are you doing after this? And like, from right then, I've been his biggest fan.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. So who's the toughest player that you ever guarded?
MVP year, Derrick Rose. He could tell you he's going to the left and you're not stopping him.
Yeah.
And he'd take off and jump over you.
I've heard that a lot too.
Yes. He was insane. His speed, everything was insane. Like you have to, when you play better players, you have to give them something. Like, what are you giving up? And I was like, I'm going to give you the shot because I don't want to be. And he'll be like, yeah, I'm not going to shoot it, but I'm still going to drive by you.
Right.
So that was where I felt completely helpless. Like, all right.
Yeah. I think we got shorted on Derrick Rose, didn't we? A little bit with injury because he was something
amazing.
special.
He was amazing. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay. The final question.
Yeah.
This is going to settle all debates. The GOAT, who is the best player to ever do it?
I'm biased, but I'm a Kobe guy.
Oh, okay.
I get the stats don't line up with the other 2, but
there's just something about Kobe though.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love Kobe. He's the reason I started playing the game. He's how I play, how I do my free throw routine. So if I'm staying loyal, I'm staying loyal.
Okay.
And Kobe's my guy.
I thought there was 2 choices there. Then I know there's more.
I know there's more. I know it. I'm not answering that one with those guys, but Kobe's my guy.
Yeah.
But if you ask me about the other 2,
Well, let's go ahead and ask about the other two while we're at it. Yeah.
When you talk about the best player for certain people and their opinions, it really comes down to how you relate to them. And me personally, I don't relate to Michael Jordan because I felt like he does one dribble spin, his big patented fake and fade away. He never really handled the ball. He never really did, like, he'd jump in the air, hang time. So I would watch that and I'd be like, he's the best. But when you're watching people like Kobe and LeBron and they're actually handling the ball, they're doing behind the back passes, they're doing all this different type of stuff, it's something I can relate to. So when people ask, I understand the stats and all that, but it comes down to relatability. So that's when I give it to Bron.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's definitely an interesting take on that. I haven't really heard that, because I would have thought, being a trainer, you might say, look at how Michael Jordan scored.
Right.
One dribble,
Yep.
pull up jumper at the elbow, super efficient, right? So a lot of times I think that, with Grady, I'm always saying, don't go crazy with, trying to dribble 10, 15 times and make a move. Like, coaches don't want that. They want that efficiency.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm a little surprised.
Well, if you watch my highlights, I don't do any ball handling. I'm doing one dribble. I'm getting to what I need to do. I have like a sway move and I pull up in your face. But for the most part, I'm not really doing a lot of moves.
Yeah.
It's when you stop me, now all of a sudden my ball handling kicks in.
Yeah.
And I grew up on N1.
True.
So that is what initially got me loving
Still sounds like you relate to Jordan a little more than you think you relate to Jordan, maybe.
I know, but just young, maybe the age. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's a tough one. But I'm not answering that question definitively. So I'm saying Kobe for me.
Yeah.
So
no, I like that one.
Okay.
Well, man, I appreciate you being here.
I love it.
It was awesome, and I think we're going to be doing some stuff in the future on some of these investments. So I like that piece of it.
I love
that piece of it.
Thank you, man.
Let's hope this NIL keeps going, right? Yeah. So no, we appreciate you being here, and I'll see you on the basketball court with Grady soon enough, right?
Yes, sir. You got it.
Thanks, my man.
I'm in.
I
Best
appreciate it.
podcast out. Love it.
Hey, thank you all for listening today. I truly appreciate it. If you would do me a favor, if you're listening on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And if you're listening on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast, please hit the subscribe or follow button on those. Also, don't forget, we are on every social media outlet you can imagine at the Rob Ellerman team. And that's on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Like, there's places I don't even know we're at, I'm sure. So please follow us there as well. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening, and hope to see you again soon.